Bulldog. I'm Walter Jackson, and Superintendent of Schools, and we certainly thank you again for joining us this evening to discuss some information that will help to address the future plans of our wonderful and outstanding school district. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our goal is simply to share with you some preventative maintenance updates and program expansions that our district is considering. We want to discuss some plans on perhaps how best to address these potential updates and future offerings. Tonight, we are in the exploration phase of a potential bond campaign. I want to publicly make some things crystal clear. The superintendent of schools and district administration does not possess the authority to call for a bond. That privilege and authority rests solely under the direction of the Board of Trustees, of whom you've elected to represent you and us to serve the community's interests. As your superintendent, we do not take these future plans lightly, as there are many specific measures that must be considered when calling for a bond or discussing a bond or just exploring a bond. Make no mistake about it, we want to do the work, and we want to certainly work with you to ensure that Porte ISD is a highly sought-after destination district in which young families are eager to move here to live and raise their children. We want our students in Porte ISD to have that advantage in life through our cutting-edge and world-class educational system. Like all school districts in the great state of Texas, we realize we have our challenges. Every school district has their challenges. However, we're all working hard together as a highly engaged community to provide an education that will prepare our students for a world that is constantly changing. Our goal is to provide our students with the skills to be successful in college, the workforce, military if they so choose, and ultimately in life. At the table are some comment cards that are provided for you to write down questions, concerns, and anything that you might like for us to know or to better explain or to make more clear, as we will have a series of these meetings throughout the fall to address these possibilities of a bond. I hope that you will help to spread the word to your neighbors and friends, as we want to be as thoughtful and as transparent as humanly possible. We will take the information left for us at the tables that you give us and complete, and we will compile a frequently asked questions list and post them to our website. The presentation that you will see tonight will also be posted on our website, along with other pertinent information. Your being here tonight speaks volumes about your care and your heart for this wonderful community. Again, we thank you for coming out this evening, and we hope to give you the information needed for you to remain informed on the happenings within our school district. My friends, for 18 months, my prayers, thoughts, and every fiber of my being has been totally invested in helping LaPorte become the absolute best district in the greater Houston area that we can become. We are an outstanding district. Our job is to continue to become and to stay and maintain the wonderful things that we do for our students. They're your kids, they're my kids, they're our kids. We are LaPorte, and we thank you for being here tonight. Let's just give everybody a round of applause for being here. Thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to share just a couple of other things, and we're going to bring some other guests to the podium or to the front to kind of share. But as you see, there is a presentation that we're going to share tonight that just talks about what it is that we're trying to make clear for you. And we want to make certain that we drive home. We are in the exploration phase. No one has said we're calling a bond. No one has decided any of those things. I said clearly in our comments that that is the role of our Board of Trustees, and we certainly appreciate those members of our board that are here for being here tonight. Well, technology, please. Can somebody get up here and help me a little bit? They did that on purpose. We have comfortable chairs here, and I see a lot of us are at the cafeteria tables, but we certainly would invite you to come. Just that second slide, please. we certainly would invite you to come up to the front if you'd like so. All right, so we'll try that again. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. So I wanted to just create, or we wanted to create, just a brief timeline for you to kind of visualize the bonds that have taken place in our school district. In 2005, there was a bond called, and that bond was successful, and there's a lot of wonderful things that were done in the district. And again, in 2014, there was another bond called. And so as you can see, it's 8 to 9, sometimes 10 years or so. But we're not just doing this because we think it's time. We're doing this because some of the things that will be discussed tonight might warrant that. And so we're going to ask that you just kind of sit back and enjoy this time. And again, you have some cards over here, and you can write down some things because there may be something that is not as clear or we did not make clear. We want to do our absolute best because we don't plan for this to just be a one-time event. We're planning to take this entire presentation to other parts and remote parts of our district and to other parts of the municipalities that we represent and share this information. So please be very clear in letting us know what we did not answer for you in this. And at this time, I'll invite our Chief Financial Officer up to the front, Ms. Rhonda Cumby. Rhonda's been in our district now, I think, 14 and a half years, 13 and a half years. Let's give her a hand.
Okay. I'm just going to talk really brief about what we can use funds in the district for. We have 4 main different types of governmental funds. We have the general fund, which is our primary property tax. That's the primary funding source of that, and that's used for all of our expenditures. We also have the debt service fund that pays all of our debt. We have the capital projects fund that pays for all of our construction, and we have other governmental funds that is like campus activity funds, food service fund, special purpose grants. And so those we don't really control a lot. We have money that it's kind of set aside for what it is. The general fund can pay for capital outlay expenditures, but capital outlay can't pay for anything in the general fund. So the general fund is like all the payroll, those kind of things. So just to give you an example, at the end of the year on June 30th, 2021, that's when our fiscal year ends, we have a total across all those funds of about $95 million. However, in the general fund is $55 million. So what this represents is our total fund balance as of June 30th in the debt service fund, the general fund, and the capital projects fund. You can see that as of December 31st, our fund balance is going to be where the dark blue. That's what our fund balance is going to be. So for the general fund, our year ends June 30th, but we don't start getting our tax revenue till January. So we have to have enough money to get us, pay all of our expenditures till then, or we have to have some kind of tax anticipation note that we'll have to finance in order to cover our expenditures. So we got plenty of fund balance to do that. However, we have about $15 million left by the time our tax dollars start coming in. Our expenditures are a little over $6 million a month, so $15 million, normally you'd like to have 3 months worth of operating expenditures. That's not 3 months. However, we do have 3 months, June 30th, and that's what they normally look at. That's not enough to get us till our tax money comes in. That's all I have. Who's next? Oh, okay, this is what bonds pay for. So if we use bond money to pay for the, if we use the general fund to pay for things that we can pay for in bonds, we also have what's called recapture. The thing that we spend about, we're going to spend about $50 million to send back to TEA out of our tax dollars for recapture. So why don't we lower our tax rate and pay less? They tax our base, not our rate. So even if we lowered our tax rate, that's just less money we get to keep in the district. They're still going to get their $50 million no matter what we do. So that is one reason we pay for these expenditures through bond money too, because that's not recaptured at all. Our debt service has no recapture tied to it, and we get 100% of what comes from that. What do bonds pay for? Maintenance of facilities, preventative maintenance, ongoing maintenance, technology, transportation, fine arts, capital projects, mainly buildings, playgrounds, anything that's attached, and furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Technology. Eddie Hill, our managing director of technology.
Thank you, Rhonda. I don't need that. I've only got one slide. Good evening. So we've divided technology into three groups, or three little bite-sized chunks to help digest what technology is looking at or what we'd like to get into bond. The first part is software, where we have two main areas. We've got productivity and we've got security. Productivity is all of the applications that we use in the district for Microsoft Office, for the teachers and the students and staff. The software that the students use to turn in their grades in Teams, the software that the teachers use to control the student laptops while they're in the classrooms, and the technology that we use in the technology department for access control and SQL databases, where we automate tasks in the district to reduce our staff. The second part is security, where LaPorte we have quite a bit of software that contains confidential information about students and staff. And there's a lot of people out there that would love to get their hands on that information. So we invest heavily in trying to secure our network. We want to not just keep our network, the integrity of our network, but we need to make sure that the people who would like to get into our network can't. The second division there is hardware. Currently, we have a one-to-one program that's complete 6th through 12th grade, but because the state of Texas is moving state testing to the elementary level that's electronic, we anticipate that we're going to need to add one-to-one at that grade level as well at the elementary campuses. Currently, we've got quite a few laptops, desktops, and servers in the district, and I feel like we've been very judicious over the years in how we manage our replacement cycles. Our desktops, we have gotten up to 10 years out of our desktops, which is quite good. And our laptops, we retired a batch last year that we had had for 9 years. Probably we should have retired them sooner. But we don't just set a calendar date and say, you know what, we're going to get rid of these after we've had them for this many years. We try to look at the usable life of a piece of hardware, and we monitor that every year. What is oldest, and do we think we can get another year out of this? We also in technology support the STEM programs in the district: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We provide the back-end gear that they use instructionally in the classrooms. In classroom technology, nowadays, technology is the primary mechanism by which instruction is delivered. Or not always primary, but in most cases, teachers use technology for that delivery system. 10 years ago, or actually 11 years ago, we set up a classroom standard across the district where we provided a baseline of equipment that was in every single classroom. That equipment is now getting pretty old, so we anticipate at some time we're going to need to begin to replace that. Some of the campuses that have been refurbished recently, though, they do have newer technology that's only 3, 4, 5 years old. In terms of projects, there's several projects that I would like to take care of, but some of the major projects, of course, is the Academy of Viola DeWalt. That is the only building in the district, the only campus in the district that hasn't had their cabling infrastructure replaced, and it really needs to be done. It's probably not going to make it another decade. The boardroom at the admin building and some other areas in the district, we need to provide better solutions for video conferencing. Our AV systems in many of those areas suit the needs of presentation and board meetings and whatnot. But then when you try to do video conferencing, it's usually not as smooth as we would like, not as productive. And lastly, the probably one of the most important projects to technology, we have fiber optic cable running all over LaPorte. In the late 90s, LaPorte inked a deal with Phonoscope to connect our buildings using aerial fiber. It runs up and down Spencer, down Old 146. And it's got several problems right now. One is that it's aging, it's getting quite old and fragile. And we also fairly regularly have problems with squirrels or semi-trucks, and recently our first airplane cutting our fiber. So fortunately for us, about 10 years ago, there was a mad dash by a lot of the companies that provide fiber optic cable to communities to bury fiber everywhere. So there's a lot of dark, unused fiber in LaPorte, and there's a very good chance that we can get this at a very, very good rate. It'll be underground, it'll be safe from weather and animals and vehicles. Thank you.
Next is Mr. Clausen.
Okay, safety and security for our students and our staff is one of our biggest concern always. We need to keep our systems upgraded and flowing right and acting right. The security systems we have on all of our buildings require ongoing maintenance, and our alarm system, our camera systems that we have throughout our buildings cameras don't last forever. We have to keep replacing them from time to time. New codes come out all the time, both from the federal government and TEA, about what we need to be doing and how we need to be doing it. And every day I get numerous emails and propaganda trying to sell me something new, bigger and greater. We don't jump on all of those because a lot of them aren't warranted, but we do have to have upgrades from time to time on our systems. And that's about what we have on security right now. We do keep an eye on it and try to keep it going and working, and so far we've done a good job, I believe.
One of the things that Mr. Clausen didn't bring up was our fire alarm systems. We have 2 buildings in the district now that are out of life for the fire alarm, so the entire system in the building has to be changed. That is a great cost that we have moving forward with this, because we can't buy parts. They do not make the parts, and the only way to do it is a complete change. So that's one of the issues that we have on the fire alarm systems. Go ahead and we'll move forward. Go ahead. So facility improvements, that's pretty much the meat of this, of a bond, because it touches every campus in some form or fashion. And what we have done is I've kind of brought some of the main things that we really need to happen in this district. In the previous bonds, when we built a new building, you didn't have to worry about having the air conditioning systems and everything that we have that goes with it being changed. For instance, at the high school, we touched 90% of this building, but the chillers and the boilers that were in this facility were not even at half-life. Now that we're looking at the second part of a 10-year bond, or 8 to 10 years, some of these will be 20 years old and or older. So the whole system has to be exchanged out. It has to be changed out so that we maintain the facility as it is. You know we're 200 yards away from the bay. So when you turn the air conditioner off in this building, In about 45 minutes, the humidity comes on. And then the humidity starts to make the walls wet, the floors wet, so we have to maintain this to make sure that as it gets in there, it runs and cleans the facility. Another thing that we have found out since the COVID years have come up is that we need bottle fillers for the students. One of the things that we do not have, we have them on campuses, but we do not have enough. Kids are having to walk completely down to the other end of some of our long buildings to get to the bottle fillers. They are not cheap, but they are very needed right now, especially in this atmosphere we're in. Concrete improvements that we need. We have some older buildings that we get water in on doors where the concrete is either lifted or it's lowered. We have some wheelchair issues that we need to take care of. A lot of our Reed, Rizzuto, those campuses, those need to be fixed and improved. Carpet and tile, we have buildings that are 20 years plus that the carpet has never been touched. We have tile it's the same way. Restroom tile, floor tile, wall tile that all needs to be updated, changed, painted, cleaned. Plumbing fixtures, same thing with those buildings. We have sinks that are original sinks that are no longer meet ADA requirements, which means we have to change those out. Those are sinks, toilets, lavatories, urinals, things in that nature. Our parking lot lights, we changed a bunch in the 2014 bond to LED. We still have a whole nother half of the district to change out. The LEDs do two things for us. It cuts down on electricity, but if you'll notice, it's a lot brighter on those campuses. And it's a lot safer, especially on nights like tonight when we're having something inside those buildings. Drainage improvements. That is something we have every year in this district. Reed, if you drive around Reed, if it's rain and it's parking, you know that you're driving through water. There are things that we have to do, and that is a very high ticket price on most of those things on drainage. We have to work with Harris County, we have to work with the city, and then we have to do our due diligence through that. Go ahead. Playgrounds. Oh, what happened? Huh? We're good? Oh, okay, playgrounds. So one of the biggest things when we put in playgrounds, they're actually built to last for 20 years. They last for 20 years, and then we turn around and we start having issues with them. They no longer make this model. Nothing fits on it. It has to be changed out. When I started working in the education business, a playground cost around $15,000. We're nowhere close to that anymore. Walkways, you can see in this picture that this is just weathered. This is what happens in our atmosphere that we live in right here by the bay. They're not safe. These campuses, including the ECC at Heritage, they need small fall playgrounds, and they are not cheap. You have to have certain cushion around them. They can't have certain fall height, and a whole area has to be changed. It's not like we just pull up one post and change it out. The whole thing has to be replaced. The addition of some playgrounds is the addition because of programs at those schools. So that's some of the reasons why you see some of these that you think, well, this is a new school. Well, we had an addition to a program at that school that we need to provide a playground for the kids. Go ahead. Okay, this is a big one. So we have changed out schools, and when a new school comes on, we have changed how we use student desks and how tables are used and where tables are used. We no longer are in the need of some of the hodgepodge chairs and tables that we have in some of these schools. Desks are not used like this anymore. And on top of that, if you look at some of these pictures, I don't think there's a single room that has a full set of furniture at these campuses. The newer campuses that are on here, that I call newer, if you will remember, some of these are already 13 years old. Heritage came online in 2007-8. Bayshore was not very far behind. That was right after Ike. And the rest of them have really not been changed out, some of them, since they were built. And then they got what was left over from the others. I see a lot of principals shaking their head. This includes teachers' desks. I have a teacher right in front of me that has one, probably has a bad desk. And it's not even a desk. And it becomes problems. Chairs, tables, desks, those situations we can fix finally because we're not having to do the buildings like we were doing in the previous bond. Go ahead. Okay, transportation. A new bus, this is as of today, it's 115,657. I have 28 buses that are over 20 years old. If you have not been on a new bus, the safety features on a new bus have changed dramatically in the last 4 years. The seats have been pulled up a little higher, cameras on every bus, cameras on the outside. This is where we are now. A 26-passenger bus is wheelchair accessible. We are full on wheelchair buses. There's a lot of questions about, we'll only see 3 or 4 people on a bus. Well, it's probably a wheelchair bus because we're having to make longer routes. Replacing the bus wash, one of the things that we did build a bus wash with the facility. It is well past its lifespan, but that also helps us maintain the buses. We travel everywhere along the Gulf Coast. We are around saltwater. We are around everything you can think, construction. We need to be able to keep the buses clean because on top of that, it also makes our district look a lot better when you see a clean bus and not something that looks like it's been running down a dirt road. But it helps us maintain these buses, keeping them clean. It's very important for us right now is that bus wash. Okay, I'll come back with the other one.
Thanks, Corey. My name is Linda Wadley, Deputy Superintendent. Proud to be here in LaPorte. Yes, great job, Corey. Okay, elementary STEM. Well, you know, Dr. Jackson talked earlier about the importance of a high-quality education and how what we want in LaPorte is to have a world-class education for all of our students. And one of the ways that we can do that is to provide STEM education for students K-12. You all are aware, living in this community and in our area, that STEM careers are what many of us are attending to right now, whether that is petrochemical, whether it's engineering, aerospace, even what we do in public and higher ed. That's all part of STEM careers and the workforce. However, our elementary kids, the STEM careers that they're going to be vying for when they're adults have not even been developed yet. So for that reason, we really want to formalize STEM education for our elementary students. What does that mean? Well, the STEM content, it will increase student engagement and rigor, and it will also provide career opportunities for our students. And those of you that are familiar with our course offerings at the secondary level, we do have a wide array of STEM offerings. And we do some STEM at elementary, but we really would like to formalize it so that we can serve all students K through 5. Okay, so the foundations of STEM, and you all may know this, but just to kind of run through it. In the science part of STEM, students will explore and investigate the natural world through technology. This includes robotics, coding, computer science, and engineering design. In engineering, this will challenge students to ask questions, imagine, plan and create solutions, and share results with others. And of course, mathematics, students will study numbers, patterns, and space to describe and solve problems and answer questions. Next slide. Mr. Hill talked a little bit about the technology and how STEM is part of his package. So what does that mean? Computer devices, printers, your typical printers, 3D printers, chargers, carts, makerspace. That may be a new term for some of you, but that's really, it's a collaboration space where students can come together, where they can solve, they can create. And then, of course, engineering equipment, that could that could include robotics, it could include materials for water filtration systems, it could be building windmills. I mean, the opportunities are endless there. And so we just believe that now is the time to make the investment in elementary STEM so that we can have a fully articulated STEM program K-12 in LaPorte ISD. Now, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Dr. Wadley. My name is Matt Burke. I'm the Director of Performing and Visual Arts for the district. I supervise our district's band, choir, orchestras, theater arts, choirs, visual art programs, elementary music, and our dance programs. So whether or not you have a student directly involved in our secondary performing arts venues, 100% of our students are involved in fine arts at our elementary levels. We'd like to address some of the items that you see before you. We're looking at major theater improvements in regards to replacing our stage, the flooring, and as well as our rigging, which is the ropes. We're going to replace the carpet in the theater, front and back. We're looking at really upgrading our technology in regards to our projection capabilities and our sound capabilities, as well as major renovation to our overall curtain replacement for the stage. We're also going to address LaPorte Junior High and Lomax Junior High facilities in regards to the same issues for theater and auditorium capabilities, which all of our students at all of these campuses will have the benefit to really see the impact. Our band and orchestra, you see that up on our slide. This addresses all of our instrument inventory as well as the upkeep of our inventory. And this also talks about replacement of concert, marching band uniforms, concert uniforms. We're looking at an average of 10 to 12 years for a typical marching band uniform, looking at about 8 years for our dance team uniforms, as well as about a 7 to 6 year lifespan for our concert uniforms, which is our stage uniforms for concert and sight reading. You also see up there, it says elementary school. We're looking at piano labs for all 7 of our elementary schools. 75% of our students, between 75 and 77% of our students are enrolled secondary fine arts programs, basically from Baker all the way up to the high school. But 100% of our students in our elementary schools will be impacted by programs like this. We have just this year initiated at our Baker 6th grade campus a really innovative program for piano labs, where our students can actually have select students this year will have an opportunity to have an experience learning basic piano skills. We're looking at really getting into our elementary so that every student that comes through our elementary schools has the opportunity to do one rotation in their music curriculum with a piano lab. And it's just a really great opportunity that we think we have the facilities as well as the faculty to implement. But again, these kind of programs impact 100% of our kids all the way through. That's it for me, Dr. Jackson.
Okay. The last major deal that we are dealing with right now is Bulldog Stadium. The original home side of Bulldog Stadium was the visitor side. It was built in 1958. It was poured in place concrete. It was not a hollow core form built. It was just a pour in place. The current home side was built in the late 1960s. There's a little bit of conflict on exactly the date on that, but it was late 1960s. Press box was updated in 2007 off of the 2005 bond. Both sides have concrete in the middle. The aluminum side was added on later as that became the home side. We are considering a total demolition and a rebuild on that site. I know there's a lot of questions on that. We have to work within the current footprint. There are drainage issues that we have to deal with. There is a track issue that we cannot maintain, or we cannot have a district track meet, because we're 7 lanes, it needs to be 8 lanes. So this whole entire footprint is going to stay there, stadium rebuilt, with all of the problems that we have now fixed. If you will remember, when we did this 2014 bond, we came in and we fixed concrete, we fixed areas that we had issues with to get us to the next bond. And we are there. This is where we are now. If you've walked underneath the stadium, you notice the stains from the rebar. You notice things just like everybody else does. And it's time for us to start looking into this. This is just where we are now. That's the only facts we know. Things that we use Bulldog Stadium for. When we say the stadium, the first thing that comes to mind is it is a football field. That is not the only thing. We have soccer, band performances. We have not had a regional band performance here ever because we're not big enough and or it's not made to do that. Drill team performances, track and field. We do not have the 8 lanes that we need. We'd love to host marching contests. We drive halfway across Harris County and halfway across Texas to go to marching contests, and we can't host it here. We host youth football and soccer leagues. Our graduation is our biggest thing that we have there. On Thursday, hopefully, if it doesn't rain, we'll have Veterans Day there. The whole side is taken up. We use that facility way more than people realize, and it's not just a football field. There are a lot of things that has to happen for this stadium to go. And we are just now getting reports in, and we've got certified engineers in the stadium checking the issues that we have seen and that we have noticed. I don't have any other solution or any, that's as far as we can go on it really until we can go forward. I'll stick around afterwards and answer any questions on the stadium. Is it safe? Yes. There's no safety issues right now. It's just the time that we need to start looking at this.
Okay, so you've heard a lot from each of our directors and deputy superintendents and everyone about just some of the issues. We're talking like kids that talk to their parents in October and November, right before Christmas. We have a wish list, all right? So we're talking about things that need to happen at some point. I started out when in my original comments, this is an exploration process that we're going through right now. So one of the next things, you're saying, okay, Jackson, what's one of the next steps? Well, we're going to try to probably take this same conversation to some other corners of our area. There are some other corners of the district that we could possibly share this, and maybe we can even get a different group of stakeholders to hear this conversation. The other thing that we're trying to do is, our goal is going to be to organize some opportunities for you to go and see some of these things along with us. It's one thing for us to show you a picture. It's another thing for you to walk that area and see that for yourself. And so we want to do that, and we will be working towards that process. But all along, we're going to keep you, our stakeholders, in tune with what's happening, and certainly we're going to continue to update our board as to what we're trying to do. I will ask again that you be very specific about the things that maybe and perhaps we did not answer for you tonight. There could be things that you thought we were going to talk about and we didn't talk about, and maybe you can give us the inkling of, yeah, you need to be talking about that as well. But as you can see, here are some things that are needed. so that we can continue moving this wonderful school district further down the road. And really, our goal is to just always be on the cutting edge of all of this, because our goal is to attract young families here. Our goal is to attract families here that want their children in the school to make our entire community vibrant. The school district is a direct mirror image of the community. The community and the school district work hand in hand. There are three basic, what I call institutions, that really make this country of ours what it has been and what it will continue to be. Number one, kids come from we hope, a solid background from home. Mom and dad or somebody at home that loves that child and that sends that child to the next institution, the public school or to the schoolhouse. The student's house, the schoolhouse, and we try to reinforce all of those wonderful things that is being taught in the home. We hope that the home is reinforcing those wonderful things that's being taught at school. And then lastly, the schoolhouse, the child's house, and then lastly, the house of faith. Those are the three basic pillars of a community anywhere in America. And I can't speak for any other countries, but in America, those are the three basic pillars of the community. The child's home, the schoolhouse, and the house of faith, whatever that might be. We want to make certain that we are doing our part as the schoolhouse and the school district to ensure that we're strengthening the fabric of this community in every way. I often hear people say, well, kids don't act right these days. Kids don't have the manners that they used to have these days. All of those things happen because we have to partner with the family, the house, the home, the mother and the father, and the school and teachers and everybody working together is what it's going to take to make certain that we keep LaPorte strong and that we make this place the absolute best that it can be. I hope that you've taken a few minutes to write something down and share that with us. You can leave it on the table, or there's a gold box over there. At this time, is there any burning questions? I didn't really want to take a whole lot of questions, but are there any burning questions that you might just have? A burning question or two. A burning question. Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. She said, how will they incorporate parking if there was a new stadium, right? Because I'm not going to be too presumptuous here. If, that's a Christmas wish we have, right? If there was a new stadium, we are planning to utilize the same footprint as best we can. So that would call for folks that are way smarter than me, that are engineers and architects and folks like that, that understand how to do that. There are people and there are companies out there that know how to do that. But clearly we would not build something and we didn't have the adequate parking space for that. But we really do not anticipate in any way, if possible, moving the stadium if we had to another location. This is the complex. This is home base for us in LaPorte ISD, and we certainly want to keep our high school and all of the things high school driven in this location. That was a very good question. Are there any other burning questions out there? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, we are, because, and it's not an interlocal agreement with the city necessarily. We presented to the board just last Tuesday an entire plan and an entire process by which we are working with those that have those questions. There were lots of questions about, well, are we allowed to use this, or how much does it cost, and those kinds of things. So you are hearing from the superintendent. You have my word that we're going to work with our community to do those kinds of things. So yes. Okay? Way in the back. Yes, ma'am. Say that one more time, please. Okay, say that again. LaPorte Junior High what? Field house? Okay, she asked about LaPorte Junior High field house. Can you say specifically what you're asking about? It just needs a whole lot of updates. Okay, let's just make sure we at least go over there and take a look at those things. Thank you for bringing that up, okay? Thank you, madam. Thank you. What time is it, Mr. Holland? Listen, I'm going to hang around. Mr. Marler's going to hang around. Mr. Clausen's going to hang around. And our entire team is going to hang around. And if you have questions that you'd like to just have a conversation, sidebar conversation, please hang around and talk to us. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Please pay attention. We're going to have all of this on our website tomorrow. And we're going to have this presentation on the website. We're also going to develop a frequently asked questions so that we can try to really better get an understanding with you so that you'll understand what we're trying to do. Stay tuned. There will be more information coming from the school district. Thank you all so much and good night. God bless you.